Hello again. Welcome back to Beck's Fashion Tutorials. I'm happy to see you again. We are going to sew our gather skirt today. Before you do the gather skirt, every sewing machine have these knots that have numbers on it, and so these numbers, because we are doing the gathers, you go loose one, the one that make it loose. So now I've put it in the 5, the last loose one. So when you go it tighten, when it comes here it's 5, it makes it loose, and when it's loose it's easy to make the gathers. You remember the skirt, we are cut where we put the pockets. So this is the front part and this is the back side of it. So I'm gonna stitch the gathers. So you do the front one. If it's the first time you have not done a gathers before, you do the 2 stitch because you want your gathers to be strong. So I've done 1 stitch in the front and I'm doing the back, another one which will be 2 stitch. They will be easy to pull your gathers. So when you finish it, this is the front part of it. You take a small pin, you pull the front part of the stitch, and when you stitch it, you can see the pulling is here. You take your time and you pull it gradually, bit by bit. You take your time because it's a 2 stitch, there's more strength in it. So you take your time, you pull it, you pull it. You can see it's gathering, and it's gathering nicely. Yes, so you keep on pulling it, and when you reach the middle, you can see that you have reached the middle part of your gathers. So you keep on pulling it. So you pull it, you pull it, you pull it, you pull it. Then you go to the other side of this. The same applies. You take both stitches off and then you pull it again. So you keep on pulling it gradually, patiently. You do it nicely. When you finish, you can see I'm pulling and it's gathering. You can see it's gathering nicely. So you gather it. And remember, if you are doing a maxi one, it's the same principle that applies. So you can see that one is the longer one. So you keep on pulling. Then when you finished, you measure it. Straighten it nicely. When you straighten it, you can see it's lying nicely. Then you measure, this is the front part of it. You measure it. If the front, because your waist, you divide it into 2. The waist was 32. So you divide this into 2. So 16 plus 16 is 32. And because we are joining the pocket on the side and side, this one is the perfect waist for the front. So you leave that one, we've done it, and then we go to the back. You know, we cut the back for the zip line, so the same applies. You do 2 stitch as well, and the same side and side, you do 2 stitches for the back. So the same principle applies. You remove up and down, and then when you remove it, you pull you put the two together. You can see I've held it, and you take your time nicely, and then you pull it, and you can see the gathers is coming out nicely. It's very beautiful. See? So when you do it, you turn it around and you do the same, because you don't want to pull and all your thread will go out. Because of that, you always do the other end also to come and join together. So when you pull it, don't pull to the end. Do it in halfway so that the thread will not go off your stitch. So now I've done the back one, and I'm doing the other back side of it. So you pull that one also, and you can see it's moving nicely. So now we have our both front and the back. This is your back. This is where the zip is going to be. You close it and you put your pin there. That's where zip will be. And then this is your side and side. You measure it again. So because it's 32 and it's 16, this section should be 8 inches. So you measure it. If it's more than 8 inches, you pull a little bit in. So we pull in a little bit in so that we can get our 8 inches. Then this one, you try it again by measuring it. We measure it again. Now we got our 8. And allowance maybe half an inch. So I'm going this side. It's also more than 8 inches. So you put it back in again so that you can get it all equal. And you make sure your gathers is equal. No place is bigger or more than the other side. This one, we are doing the one with the band on it. One day I'll teach you the one with the elastic in it. So because I've pulled it and they are all equal, you put them together and you can see gathers. I have done the gathers inside and it's already taking shape. So after, now we're gonna fix our pocket. This is a pocket, and the pocket, if you remember, we cut a square because there is some of them that will shape it, but because you are not all that experienced, just cut a square one like that. You can go as long as you want. So that one, because it's 2 and 2 here, you can make a mark or you can just draw something. So that's the end of the pocket. This is the side that you're going to stitch. This is the side that is not going to be. So at this time, because I've seen the end of it, I'm gonna stitch it first for the front part of it. You put it down there, then you stitch it. And this time, remember, you need to adjust your sewing machine again to the tightness. So we're going back to 3 or 4, which will be the normal one for your stitch. So when you finished, you can see the mark is there. The other side is over here. I'm also stitching that one up at the back. And when it goes in at the back, you can see now it's a square. Now I'm putting it together. when I put it together, the way I cut it, you can see it's in here. So I'm gonna stitch a little bit, about 1 inch up where the goddess is. Why we are stitching that one is that we need to have this stitch because you don't want the pocket to be open when you are putting the band. So you stitch it. Now you have your pocket stitch over here, and then you stitch the one that you did not stitch first. You know, it's not attached to the fabric. When you finished, you see the side here, the bottom here, this is where, when you stitch it to attach the fabric, the remaining, so the remaining, which I was telling you can do as long as you want. My one, this is what has remained underneath it. So underneath one too, you stitch it. When you stitch it, you will end up seeing this outside your skirt, and then you see inside that there's a pocket there, and when you pull it, you can see your pocket is in there. So we have already fixed our pocket inside, and it's in like that. So after you stitch it, this square one that you did, stitch it on top of the front part of your goddess, attach it to it. And when you attach it, this is how you see it, because you don't want to walk around and something is hanging inside your skirt. So when you look at it, you can see I have fixed the pockets inside the skirt. So after that one, we finish the first one, we're going for second stitch. Now we finish our second pockets. You see, so the goddess, the beautiful thing, when you finished, put the knots, because you don't want it to be losing. So you put a knot underneath it so that it will not be loose. So now we're done with our skirt. I'm gonna do the band now. So the goddess is set, and as I said, it's 2 inches band, so I'm gonna iron it. It's good sometimes to put stiff in to make it very firm and nice. So I'm gonna iron this one so that you can get it, you put them together and get it nice and straight. Now I've done the ironing. So after the ironing, put it together like this. My waist is 32 and I've put 2 inches for the zip band, the allowance. So this one, the middle part, you mark it like that, then you fold it also together. You leave your allowance on the side like that. This is my allowance over there. So that one too, you mark it there. and then you measure it to know that you have your 8 inches, which we have it. We have our 8 inches there. So the 8 inches, this is front and this is the back, and you can see the mark over there. So now we're gonna stitch it. And as I told you, I love stitching, wrapping the stitch because I want good finishing. So because I want the good finishing, you have your pin, you start it, take the zip allowance pin off. Now you mark where we mark. This is the front, this is the back. I'm gonna wrap it where I've marked one with the stitch where the pocket is, one over there. And because it's a gathers, you know gathers can shift, so do it according to, and you can see it come out very nice. So when you finished, you can see the second mark over there. Then that one to go the front side where the stitch where the pocket is also is. So when you finished pinning all this, you can see that now the band is in place and it's the same length as this one. The back is the same length as that one too. So we're gonna stitch that one too, and then we go on from there. So when you finished, cut all your thread off your skirt. You want good finishing. So cut everything off and make sure you remove every pin from your skirt. And because we did the ironing, you can see the line for the center is there, it's up there. So you wrap it another half an inch from the band and cover it nicely. You can see the band, then you cover it nicely over there. So you can see we've put the band on and our gathers is intact. You can see our pockets is in there nicely. Both sides, the pocket is there. So remember, all the thread, cut them. And when you finish, we always iron. So because we've stitched and we're gonna do the zip, I'm gonna do ironing. And here, if you have overlocking machine, you can overlock it nicely. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can do your nice knitting. If you have a zigzag, you can do your nice knitting side and the side. I have my zip. At least you should go 8 inches or 10 inches of zip. So I'm gonna put my zip on now. As I showed you last time, we have allowance at the back of the skirt. And this time I'm going to the top because I'm not putting, you can put a hook, but this time I'm going to right at the top of the skirt. So I'm folding up there where the band is and then go like that to do the zip. So it's done. You can see I've put my zip there. So you stitch it, you close your zip, and it's finishing neatly and nice. You can see closely, very nice. When you finished, straighten it. You can see your skirt is done with waist 32. So you measure it again and make sure your waist is 32, and you can see it's a waist 32. Then when you look at here, you can see your skirt, the pocket is there and your pocket is there. And when you finished, bottom here, you know, we've put 2 inches here, so we're gonna stitch it and take this writing off it. Then your skirt will be complete. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Beck's Fashion Tutorials. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends.